Hello and welcome. If you're a Melbourne parent weighing up schools, you know the stakes feel huge. You want a place that lifts learning, safeguards well-being, and prepares your child for a future that won't sit still. The trap is reducing school quality to a single number or rank. That's yesterday's story. The best Melbourne schools are measuring what matters: growth, well-being, and real work. And the gap between simplistic rankings and true quality is only getting wider. Quick scene setter. Nationally, Australia's results are mixed. On PISA, our 15-year-olds stack up reasonably against OECD peers. Yet fewer than 60% hit the new national proficiency standard in reading, science, and maths. It's a wake-up call, but it's not the whole story for Melbourne families. What separates top-performing schools isn't selective entry or glossy brochures. It's who measures growth well, catches issues early, integrates well-being, and shows families progress in ways that actually help students learn. In Victoria, here's the foundation. NAPLAN is online and adaptive in years 3, 5, 7, and 9, with proficiency bands: exceeding, strong, developing, needs additional support. The adaptive design tailors difficulty to each student. The Victorian curriculum sets achievement standards across F at 10, and strong schools map assessments to those standards so you can see the pathway, not just a grade. In the senior years, VCE study scores and the ATAR still matter, alongside a robust VCE vocational major for hands-on learners. ACARA's ICSEA and My School help you see how a school performs relative to similar communities. A fairer look at value-adding. Between the big tests, schools use PAT, the department's insight platform, English and Maths online interviews, and VCAO on-demand testing. And they track attendance, ATOS, student voice, and engagement because well-being drives achievement. All of this sits within strict Victorian privacy and child-safe standards. So what's changing? Here are 10 innovations reshaping how the best Melbourne schools measure performance. 1. Continuous adaptive growth measurement. The smartest schools don't wait for NAPLAN. They run regular, curriculum-aligned checks, micro-assessments inside platforms like Schoolbox, Google Classroom, or Canvas, often linked with PAT. Behind the scenes, adaptive algorithms estimate proficiency with fewer questions, reducing fatigue and increasing accuracy. Families see growth every few weeks, not once a year. The key question becomes, how much growth is my child making from their starting point? And what's the plan if it stalls? 2. One dashboard for academics and well-being. Marks sit alongside attendance trends, ATOS insights, engagement signals, and student voice. If reading growth dips as connectedness drops, that triggers a conversation and a wraparound plan. Clear thresholds prompt a check-in or team meeting, with privacy and consent baked in. 3. Smarter early warning systems. Predictive analytics can flag a Year 7 student whose data suggests they'll struggle with Year 9 algebra, not to label, but to bring supports forward. Think Tier 1, whole class tweaks. Tier 2, small group help. Tier 3, personalized plans with timelines and targets. Humans stay in charge. Teachers validate the signals before action. 4. Student-owned portfolios and micro-credentials. You see curated evidence, writing, labs, presentations, projects, mapped to Victorian curriculum standards and general capabilities like critical and creative thinking. In senior years, micro-credentials capture industry-aligned competencies, especially for VCE vocational and AGER students. Quality is upheld with clear rubrics, authenticity checks, and moderation. 5. Scaled-up moderation with smarter tools. Teacher judgment is strongest when calibrated. Comparative judgment platforms, cross-school moderation using VCAA samples, and AI that suggests rubric alignment can have the time to reach reliable judgments. Tech doesn't mark the work. It helps teachers focus on quality decisions. Useful low-noise classroom analytics. Forget click tracking. The shift is toward low-stakes, in-the-moment checks aligned to the lesson. Quick quizzes, exit tickets, interactive questions with instant feedback. If half the class misses a concept, teachers reteach immediately. For students with additional needs, the same tools deliver accessible, targeted checks without singling anyone out. 7. Fairer. Transparent value-added measures. Raw scores aren't school impact. Expect growth adjusted for prior achievement and context, using NAPLAN, PAT, and ICSEA to show value added across a year or two. My school already shows student gain. The next step is class and faculty-level growth measures used internally to improve practice, not to rank teachers. When shared with families, the best schools explain the method in plain English and guard against gaming. 8. Assessing capabilities, not just content. The Victorian curriculum's general capabilities, critical and creative thinking, ethical understanding, intercultural capability, personal and social capability, and digital literacy are front and center. Leading schools design interdisciplinary tasks where students plan, collaborate, solve, and communicate. Then assess those skills using clear progressions. Feedback names the skill, not just the grade. 9. Reports you can actually use. Plain language visual reports show where your child sits against the standard, the growth they've made, and a concrete 5-week goal, with ways to help at home. 3-way conferences, student reflections, and translation support tone reports into a conversation. Updates arrive more often than twice a year, so you can act while feedback matters. Measuring life beyond the bell. Destination data, TAFE, apprenticeships, uni. Employment is tracked and matched to skills students developed. Success looks like purposeful next steps, an ATAR into a selective course, a paid apprenticeship, a certificate, a portfolio that lands a great job. The focus shifts from one pathway to many, using feedback to improve programs, partnerships, and career education. So how do you use this when choosing a school in Melbourne? On your next tour, ask, how do you measure individual growth through the year, not just at the end? How do teachers and families see well-being alongside academics? And what happens when the data dips? When a student is off track, what tiered supports kick in and how quickly? Can you show me a student portfolio mapped to the Victorian curriculum and the feedback that moved learning forward? How do you moderate teacher judgments to keep grading fair? How do you protect student privacy while using data to help students learn? How do you report progress so it's obvious what we can do next, together? Here's the pattern across all 10 shifts. The best Melbourne schools don't chase a single score. They triangulate growth, proficiency, well-being, and the quality of student work. They move quickly on feedback, explain it clearly, and keep equity at the center so no student is left behind. They respect privacy and keep humans in the loop, even as tools get smarter. And they refuse to confuse selectivity with excellence, because the real marker of a great school is how far it takes each child from where they started. You don't need to be a data scientist to choose well. You just need to know what good looks like and ask the questions that open the right doors. The next 5 years will reward schools that measure what matters and act on it in real time. That's good news for your child. When schools see the whole learner and respond quickly, learning accelerates, confidence grows, and pathways widen. Thanks for listening. Here's to a smarter, kinder way of measuring progress, one that helps every Melbourne student move forward with purpose.